I'm Raya.
And I'm Trae.
We'll share our own experience building and selling a 7-figure business, owning multiple successful brands, and share the stories of other entrepreneurs who are incredibly successful in business.
This is Billion Dollar Vision, the podcast where we educate current and future entrepreneurs to expand your vision, give you strategy, and help you take your business far beyond what you thought was even possible.
Your future is limitless, and it begins right here, right now.
Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the Billion Dollar Vision podcast. I am Trae.
And I'm Raya.
And on this episode, we are going to discuss one of the questions that we both get asked a lot, which is, what is the number one tool to help grow your business or to help grow your personal network or your net worth? What is that number one tool, Trae and Raya? And the answer to that is
proximity.
And with that being said, I want to pose a question to you, Raya. What does proximity mean to you, and how has it changed your life?
So proximity has completely changed my life. And when we're saying proximity, we mean proximity to mentors or peers that are at a higher level than you or where you want to be, one day. And for me personally, it started back in 2014, 2015, when I was going through the hardest time in my business, where I had just gotten kicked out of my first storefront location. I owned a spa at the time, and I was 24 at the time, getting kicked out, not knowing what I could do. Every other retail location was triple the price. And what truly got me through that time is listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos of, honestly, I just needed motivation at the time. I didn't even need business strategy. I was just I needed pure motivation. And listening to that truly got me not only through that rough time, I really do call that my dark night of the soul moment in business, which I think every entrepreneur goes through at one point in their business journey. And it really helped get me from 6 figures to multiple 6 figures. I went from 100,000 to 300,000 just from listening and inundating and brainwashing myself from entrepreneurs who were motivational and successful. But I was unhappy. I was numb to everything at the time. I was numb because it's almost like when you go through really tough times, you just kind of, I don't know what happens. It's your body and brain just goes into let me figure this out. And for me, I just almost numbed all emotions. I could look at a puppy, look at a baby, and just not feel anything at the time, which was weird because I love puppies and babies. And it wasn't until I took a chance and I invested $100,000. I mean, not 100. Sorry, that's today. That wasn't then. $1,000 to go to Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins, and then paid flights and hotels. It was $3,000 all in. But that was the first time I actually paid to be in proximity. I paid to be in the room with other like-minded people and paid to be in the room with a mentor I had only listened to on maybe podcasts or YouTube. And I came back from that first event and my life completely changed because I felt emotions again, overnight. I came back with business strategy and grew my business, which it wasn't even a business event. And I realized I had found my tribe. I found my people that understood life differently, that looked and viewed life differently than most of society does. And that was the first event that got me addicted to traveling to these events. And the addiction really came from the people. Nowhere else could I find this community of people that thought like me, that were visionary, that dug deeper, that didn't have surface level conversations. And from 2015, my first event, to 2018, when I became a platinum partner and invested like $85,000, versus my first 1,000 in that 3-year time frame, I went to like 17 events and built, got to $1 million in business, was happier, it transformed my life. But part of that was the mentorship and being in proximity with the mentor, right? But also at these events, there was people that were way further ahead in business than me. I was like this little salon owner, like waxing salon owner, and I was hanging out with multimillionaires. Like that does something to you. It makes you think different. Makes you think in possibility. It up levels your life in so many ways. And so that was for me the start of it. And now we have a lot of other mentors that we can talk about that are more specific, but it really never stops. But that's the start of it for me. What does proximity mean, or what has proximity done in your life for you?
Proximity has been a game changer and a life changer for a number of reasons. And I just look at, even with us, like had I not lived in the same building as you, right?
That's true.
There's a good chance we probably would have never met, right? So proximity from that standpoint has been a life changer. In terms of like investing into knowledge, I used to invest in my time into all the free resources on YouTube. And if you don't have the money to invest, to go in person to an event, I highly encourage you to consume all the free resources that you can. Because in order to achieve anything in life, you don't necessarily, you may not know anyone who's actually done what you want to do, but if you like know them personally, but if you can actually see someone and consume their information, read about them, take on their thought process, take on their, some people even go down to taking on their that person's speech pattern, taking on their beliefs, read the books they read, you can, it's a lower level of proximity, but you can still change your life. And so as far as believing anything is possible for me, I began to listen to Eric Thomas when I was in college. And this was in the early stages of YouTube, but he didn't have very much out. But me and one of my friends in college, we used to just listen to the same videos that he had out over and over and over. Fast forward to now, like even then he started his own podcast and I would listen. But even in some of the darkest days of my life, I always knew that things were possible because I listened to what Eric Thomas's story is, right? Go from homeless high school dropout, living in abandoned buildings, eating out of trash cans, got a 4-year degree in 12 years. Now he has his PhD in multi-millionaire speaker, right? So when you hear someone who came from that, it lets you know that anything is possible. Fast forward all the way to now where we've met Eric Thomas. We've seen a few times now, seen his team, everyone that's around him, and being around them lets me know that we can live on a much greater level. Seeing him as a father, seeing his team members as fathers, seeing them as husbands, how they interact with their wives, like it's encouraging, right? So proximity, that's just one example. Proximity has changed my life and changed my view. I was already a big dreamer before, but even being around Jamal King, like seeing him speak in person, hearing him talk about leaving a legacy, leaving something behind, greater than what you can even see for yourself or what you may even realize, right? And seeing him actually doing the work and building a legacy for his grandkids and great grandkids and for people he won't even meet, it's given me a different level of purpose in life. I've met people at those events. We've gone to plenty of different things in person now, but I've met people at different events. And like Raya said, like when you're able to have like-minded conversation with people, it's different from a surface level conversation that you may typically have with your everyday friends. It's just different. It's really, really different. But that's what it's meant to me. It's been a life changer and a way maker, because without the proximity, without seeing some of these things, like I said, I was a big dreamer before, but going in person and meeting people and being able to put practical steps and strategy to the dreams and goals, it's been unbelievable.
It's also, yeah, I agree. And it's also been, it opens opportunities that you may have not had otherwise.
Correct.
And so last year we were in a mastermind, and because we paid a lot of money to be in this mastermind, the person who runs it had an investment opportunity. He's starting a tech company, and he was doing a friends and family round for investing into this company that he wants to sell for $1 billion. And so that opened the opportunity for us to make an investment in that tech company, which I don't think I know we wouldn't have had that opportunity before.
Yeah, to touch on that, and the tech company's name is Frello, Frello. And I agree 110%. Like when it comes to investments like that, typically if you don't know the people, especially when it comes to a seed round, it's not a public thing per se. So you won't necessarily know about it or know how to invest in it. So we were blessed. Yeah. And we were very fortunate to meet Chris, and fortunate enough that he thought enough of us to want us to be investors. And so...
And it also... Gosh, it actually opened up so many opportunities.
The what did?
Just from investing in that mastermind. Opened up Lewis Howell's opportunity, where we got to go meet him in LA.
That's true.
Where we met Rory Vaden, which opened up opportunities for guest speakers that we have in our program.
Yeah.
That are very, very hard to get, because I've tried by myself for years and couldn't get this, right? Yeah. Until we met Rory through Lewis, through the mastermind. And also an opportunity to invest in something next year, to be a part of a group of people that, being in the room, being at dinner with these people, we could get investors for our company just by being in the room.
We can get investors, we can get other investment opportunities. Most importantly, we can build the relationships, right? Yeah. So 20% of your success is going to come from the work that you put in. 80% is going to come from the relationships that you build. Mm-hmm. So like you can read as many books as you want to read, but without having the relationship, sometimes things just won't work, right? You can have an idea for a tech idea or any other idea, but unless you have the relationships and actually go to events and meet people, you won't meet that investor, right? Who can invest into your dream and into your idea. You won't have the opportunities. So we're saying all this to make sure that if you can only afford free, that's fine. Make sure you're going to all the free events that you can, but also make sure that you're saving up your money to attend in-person events, because it can literally be life-changing. You're right. So from that one mastermind, we have
met our trademark lawyer.
Met our trademark attorney. We got to meet Lewis Howells. Go to his event.
An exclusive dinner with him.
Went to an exclusive dinner with Lewis Howells, and I'm sure that we would not have heard about the opportunity of how to spend the time with Lewis Howes had he not spoken at that mastermind, right?
Yeah.
And so from that, like you said, we met Roy Vaden. We now have 2 guest speakers for our program from meeting Roy Vaden, which it all ties back into
the investment
with Chris Harder. With Chris Harder and his mastermind, which is phenomenal. So, yeah, I mean, proximity is probably I think it's the most important thing. It's probably the least talked about. There's a lot of people who talk about business strategies, and you can have all the strategy you want, but if you don't have the network to make some of this stuff happen, it just won't. It just won't happen at all.
Yeah. But there's also, you can, it doesn't have to be multi-$1,000 masterminds.
No,
there's programs online that can also, honestly, there's probably a program for every niche. So if like you are in a certain industry, there's a program to show you like how to get further faster, right? And so it could be a couple $1,000 investment, and usually the trade-off is like nowhere close to the investment. And so like, for example, in our program where we specifically teach beauty business owners how to grow their business, we're asking for a few $1,000s to show you the path how to either build a 6-figure business, multi-6, 7-figure, depending on the program. But if there's no comparison in the trade-off, right?
Yeah, sometimes there is a comparison, but I can say this for the testimonials that we see, right? So we have in our 7-figure teams program, we have platinum partners. We had 20 platinum partners, right? So those 20 platinum partners were actually put into their own Slack group with us. They got one-to-one coaching. They got exclusive strategy. Not to say that the regular members didn't get it, but they just got it on a more intimate basis.
More access.
Yeah, they got more access, right? And so,
for double the investment.
They paid a few $1,000s for, they paid double what General Mission paid. They paid a few $1,000s, and some of the testimonials that we get from them are people who are now having $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 months or $30,000 weeks, right? So
there's no comparison.
There's no comparison. And so, like I said, it doesn't have to be, like she said, it doesn't have to be a mastermind, but I know even to some people, a couple $1,000s may seem like a lot, and that's true, not diminishing that. But if you do like a hard, deep dive search into your life, you can find a way to get the money to make the investment. And from there, it could literally take your life and business from here all the way up to here with you just taking the chance and you just believing that it's going to work and you putting yourself in the right rooms and having the proximity.
Yeah. And it really, that's exactly how I started. Was that first Tony Robbins event was $1,000, not including the flight and travel. But I paid for event by event, one at a time. I paid, it was first 1,000, and then it was 5, and then it was 10. And then I kept going individually until I literally did every event twice. And then I joined the Platinum Partners for $85,000. But that's what helped me get there. I couldn't pay $85,000 to be in his highest level mastermind day one, but I did have to invest something that a lot of people wouldn't be willing to invest, right? Like $1,000 at the time was a stretch for me.
Yep.
And then 5,000 was a stretch, 10,000, but you being in the rooms or learning from the right people, the right mentors will help you get there.
Quick question. How much was it to pay for all of them?
I had already spent $85,000.
That's all about this.
But yeah, I loved being in the room so much with these people. I didn't have that back in Tampa. So this was before Trae and I had met, is when I was, traveling the world with Tony Robbins, like becoming a better person and better business owner. And I didn't have those kind of relationships here in Tampa. And once you have those types of conversations, it is very hard. And hear me out. I'm like 27 at the time, like in that age range during this time, 28, 27. Most people my age are like, going out at night with their girlfriends and like, doing women parties, which I would love, but I became so particular about the conversations and like who I was spending time with. And I didn't know any entrepreneurs in Tampa. And so I would rather be at home by myself, like with my laptop and like listening to the people I like to listen to, than with a bunch of like surface level girlfriends that talk about other people and like dumb shit, to be honest. Like, I won't hang out with them.
I don't know if we're a profanity podcast.
Sorry. Jay can edit that for us.
I hope so.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
And
but I would tell Trae, like, it bothers, like, I just can't have those conversations. Like, I'm on another level, and not to diminish them, it's just another.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Another level in
it's
consciousness. That's the best way to say it.
It's another level on your journey.
Right. I'm not above them. I'm just a different consciousness.
It's another level on your journey, and it's not above anyone. It's just sometimes if you're in two different lanes, you're in two different lanes. You know what I mean? The paths are going different directions, right? And it's not to say one path is better than the next, because somebody could be working a 9 to 5 at Walmart and be the happiest person in the world, right?
Yeah.
Success at what most people don't look at, to touch on your point, right? It's not to say you're better than anyone. It's just you're willing to think differently. And honestly, you're taking a more stressful path than most, because when you're going for greater and you're going for more, and especially if you own your own business, it's a lot. It's not a guaranteed paycheck, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a start at 9, off at 5, and you just turn off the switch. It's not the way it is. So it's just a different path. Not to say it's greater, it's better. The reward could be greater, right? But it's not to say that it's better than anyone. I want to be very clear. But also, I want to touch on something you just said. Mm-hmm. What are women parties?
I don't know. Like the age where you're not partying, but you're like getting together with your girlfriends. See,
what type of parties? What type of parties are these?
Like girlfriend parties. I don't know, like where you invite a bunch of girls over to your place and you all just hang out. Like, if there's women listening, they'll understand. But I started to realize anytime I would be invited and I actually went, like, I just
What'd y'all do?
Would rather be home.
What did y'all do at the girlfriend parties?
Eat and talk and drink, but I didn't even really drink either. So, and also, I'm so obsessed with becoming better. I'm so obsessed with business. Like, a lot of times, in being in proximity with the right people who, and whether, this is for entrepreneurs. So, for us, it's entrepreneurship, but whatever thing you're into, you could like talk about business like at a party or out at dinner, and like it's normal and people are super into it. And at these, like, you talk about business and people crazy. Just don't. Yeah, you sound crazy. People don't care. They're like, it is Friday or Saturday. Why are you talking about work? Right? They call it work because like that's what it is to them. And so I became so obsessed with traveling because I didn't have that here in Tampa. Like, so I would like go and seek it. It was almost like a high for me because I needed it in my soul. And so now I'm really grateful to have a partner that I can talk about these things. And I heard something really interesting recently with, I think it might have been Alex and Layla Hormozy talking about it. But, someone mentioned that most people seek balance in their relationship where, you can't talk about work after a certain time, or, work stays at work and, relationship is separate. But when you're obsessed with what you do and you're on a mission and you have a vision, it does blur the lines. Like sometimes we do talk about work in bed, but it doesn't like turn me off or anything. Like sometimes, and I'll tell Trae when I just like literally cannot talk about work, but we're so vision driven that I don't think there's like necessarily balance. I don't think there's ever going to be balance when you're an entrepreneur. And I think that's okay because most people don't understand the obsession that you need to have to build a business bigger than most people even think is possible.
There can be balance, but the opposite of balance is out of focus. And then when you're in focus, you're out of balance, right? So typically when you're trying to build something, and especially when you have $1 billion vision, you're going to be so in focus that yes, you are going to be out of balance. So it's not we don't operate in balance necessarily where it just turns off like that when we wanted to. We're constantly thinking of new ideas, new ways. And yeah, sometimes it can be overwhelming when your brain doesn't turn off. But to get back to the original topic, proximity. It's so important for you to be in proximity. And I've just now thought of this, so it sounds, based on what we said, there's different levels of proximity. There's free content, right, you can consume. And consuming that is very important because a lot of people put out a lot of good free content, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's your program level. Mm-hmm.
And it gets you to help be able to go to the next level.
It gets you to be able to go to the next level, right? Then there's the like a course or program level where it could be someone's course, but you're not necessarily around them. You may learn from them once a week or consume videos, but you could be in a Facebook group with other people in your industry. And then there's the in-person event level, and then followed by mastermind level. But yeah, the whole purpose of this episode is to make sure you understand the proximity. For me, like I said, I think it's underrated. A lot of people talk strategy, a lot of people talk business tips. But if you can get yourself around the right people, things will start clicking a whole lot more. And once you get yourself around the right people, then you'll start to realize that other people that you may have been around or may be around may be the wrong people for this season of your life, right? It's not that they're bad people, but you want people that are going to be able to help propel you from where you are to where you want to be.
Yeah. I heard a quote once and it said, love your family and friends, but choose your peers.
Where'd you hear that?
I don't remember, but it definitely clicked. Like, it clicked for me.
Absolutely.
Choose your peers.
Absolutely. This is not, as I say, this is not elementary school where you got name tags, name plates at a table, and you got to sit where your friends are chosen for you. This is actually real life and business where you can go out and seek and build the relationships that you want to help change your life and create that financial freedom, create that wealth mindset, and achieve all your dreams. So with that being said, if you have anything to say, I'll close it out.
Last thing I just thought of. I remember Jared Robbins, learning from him the 30-30-30 principle, or 33-33-33 if you do the math.
There we go.
33% of the people that you surround yourself with should be people that you can help, right? Like a former version of yourself. 33% should be at your level, like your peers, right? And then 33% should be further ahead. What I'll add to that is if you're in a season of your life that you want to get further faster, you just make the numbers prior smaller, right? Maybe help a smaller amount, because once you grow, eventually you'll help more people. But you make the people ahead of you number bigger, right? So you might spend 65% of your time with higher level mentors or peers, 30% with peers at the same level.
You only got 5% left. I was just making sure.
5%. With maybe friends from your past that, you love, but you just don't have that kind of time right now because you're on your mission.
There you go. And that is how we will end this episode. And we will see you on the next episode of $1 Billion Vision. We appreciate you for joining us. And that is it.
Bye. Remember, it all starts with your big vision.
Stay determined and always keep your billion-dollar vision alive. Please, wherever you are listening, subscribe and leave us a 5-star review.
It would mean the world to us. See you next time.
I was listening for too long. Something in my heart told me